999 Club. How long did it take the UK? Yes, it did. Right, okay, sorry, just a little bit competitive. This next person is a guy from corporate as well. His name's Jesse. He probably doesn't need very much of an introduction, but I'm going to give him one anyway. He's been with the UK for nearly 2 years. This man is all things product. Okay? Like, that's probably one of our favourite subjects, right? Product. Jesse is your man, so if you've got any questions later on, he'll be up here somewhere. He is your VP of Product Development, and he's got a great presentation for you today. But I said to him, Jesse, we kind of know each other a little bit, but give me something that I can introduce you with. And he said, I said, if you don't give me something, I'm going to make it up. And he said, okay. He said, well, I drive a Harley Davidson, and I thought, wow, that's pretty cool, Harley Davidson. And then the person next to him, Shannon, said, tell her what it's called. And he's like, no, I can't tell you what it's called. I went, just tell me what it's called. Are you ready for this? It is called Dirty Girl. Please welcome on stage, Jesse Allen!
I do ride a Harley. I love it. And it is called Dirty Girl. That's the only time it's appropriate to say something like that. But it was fun listening to Tim. I don't know why I'm saying this. It was fun listening to Tim. But I'll be honest, what I was mostly jealous of is his hair. It's fantastic. He's got beautiful hair. Let me tell you just a little bit about me, and then we'll get started. I'm going to talk, obviously, about products, and we're going to dig into a little bit about the science of products, and really the process in putting them together, developing them, try to give you an understanding of really how we go through the whole process. I grew up in a small town in the Intermountain West over in the United States, obviously, because of my thick accent. My mom was a stylist, a hairstylist, and I grew up, she had her own beauty salon, and so I literally grew up in her salon, which was a wonderful environment to grow up in. That was back in the day where her customers would come once a week or every 2 weeks, and they'd back home and build this big helmet on their head, use a whole can of hairspray to do their hair. And so that's the environment that I grew up in, and I would spend my mornings there in her salon, listening to her, listening to the chatter of the women, and then after school I would come home and I would sit in the hair dryer, right, and I'd sit in the chair, and the women would help me with my homework, and that was my upbringing. And it was a phenomenal place to grow up, and I had literally probably 20 or 30 mothers watching over me, right? They knew who I was dating, they knew what was happening in school. They knew everything about me, and I knew a lot about them. And it was a fun environment, and it was. Now that I look back on it, it was an environment that impacted me tremendously. And what I mean by that, well, let me tell you a little bit else. So then finishing up high school, college, I went on to work for a company where, by chance, I was able to help develop the color line for Nicole Miller, right? A famous fashion designer. I think you might recognize the name, out of New York. And we developed and put together a color line for her. I had no intention of working in the beauty industry. I grew up in the beauty industry with my mother, but I didn't have any intention of working in it. I was going to go into law school and business and do a bunch of things. Well, I ended up staying in the beauty industry and worked in it for a number of years, then went on and created a product line of my own that was more geared towards weight loss and fitness, and then ended up selling that company. And by chance, and I don't think things happen by chance, but I ran into Derek Maxfield and we talked a little bit, and he brought me in as a consultant on a few projects, and I ended up staying with Unique. And it was kind of a coming back to my roots, if you will. Back to beauty and back to this market or this business or this environment that I loved, right? An environment that is so impactful on women. and make such a difference in their lives. And that was something that I learned as a child, watching my mom work and watching what she was able to do with women, not just on a physical level of making them feel beautiful, but what she did for them internally and how they felt about themselves and how beauty allowed them to express externally how they felt about themselves internally. And now that I realize that, I'm so happy to be here, and it's so much fun to see the impact that you're able to make with your customers. So I love it. I love the beauty industry, and I love working here. I love creating products. At the end of the day, I've got the best job at corporate. Matt might think he has the best job. Matt has the worst job at corporate. Matt gets to deal with all the crap. I get to have all the fun. I get to play with makeup all day. I have a 9-year-old daughter. When people ask her what her dad does, she says he plays with makeup. And I'll tell you what, she's the most spoiled 9-year-old you can get, because her bathroom and her bedroom is full of makeup. Because as you can imagine, I get a lot of product all the time. We're playing, we're working on new formulas and new things, and it all ends up in Emma, my little girl. It all ends up in Emma's room eventually. And so she's got more makeup than she knows what to do with. Why a 9-year-old has makeup in her room, I'm not sure. But she's got plenty, and she loves it. And she watches YouTube, and she watches how everything works, and now she tries to tell her mom how to do her makeup. She's cute. She's a fun little girl. But that's really what I get to do. I get to play with makeup all day. What you see up on the screen right now is a little bit about, sorry, we got a distortion, I keep hearing myself, is our design goals, or really the hierarchy of how we go about building the product. Right? There's 4 things that we look at. The first one is safety, right? We're going to design, or the products are safe by design. The reason I want to talk about that, I'm going to talk a little bit more detail about that throughout the presentation, but what I'm really trying to do is instill a sense of confidence. You guys know the products work. You know they're phenomenal, and I want you to have even a greater sense of confidence that what you're selling and promoting to your customers are indeed safe, efficacious, and wonderful products. One of the second pillars of our design process is innovative. Right? We're going to make sure that the products are innovative, perhaps in how they're delivered, perhaps in the technologies that we use, the textures that we use, the new ingredients, what we found through research. We're going to make sure that we're leading the market in innovation. The third step is that the products are performance-based. They work the way they're supposed to work. If we talk about color payoff, they're going to provide brilliant, bright colors, or deep dark colors. That was really hard for me to say. If it's long wearing, it's going to be long wearing. If it's water resistant, it's going to be water resistant. So they're indeed performance based. And finally, we want to develop and create products that match up and marry with your business model of selling product through a social environment, so that you can use them easily and demonstrate them well online and with your customers and your circle of influence. So let's talk a little bit about nature loves science and what that means, right? We look to Mother Nature for inspiration. We want to research and find out what Mother Nature can tell us about ourselves, about our skin, about the environment, and how we can learn from that. And then we formulate products that honor that research, that honor that understanding, to deliver cutting-edge cosmetics that are efficacious and work for nearly all skin types. And then we do it to provide clean, healthy, pure cosmetics. Let me give you an example of what we mean by nature loves science. We'll talk about the ingredient squalene. Squalene is it's a natural occurring lipid in the body, right? It makes up about 10% of your sebum. It works as a barrier for the skin, both to retain or hold moisture in, but also to keep toxins and environmental dangers out, right, or away from your skin. Now the problem is that as you age, and unfortunately that aging process starts in your 20s, is that squalene starts to reduce, right? Which leads to the issues that we see with aging, right? The wrinkles, the fine lines, less protection on the skin, drier skin, and all the other issues that you have as that lipid starts to go away. But what we understand through science and what Mother Nature's taught us is that there is a similar oil from plants that we can take, modify, and then deliver to the skin that your skin uses and treats exactly like its natural squalene, right? And so it's able to absorb it and use the squalene without leaving an oily residue on the skin, if we deliver it correctly. And what that means is the skin remains hydrated, right? It delivers moisture to the skin, which as a result, the skin will be firmer and fuller, less fine lines, less wrinkles. It conditions the hair follicle, makes it stronger, shinier, more supple, right? It does some wonderful things if we can deliver it correctly, which is exactly what we do. And we use science to figure out how to deliver that oil to the skin. And that's what we've done. And squalene, as most of you probably know, is the primary ingredient in Uplift Eye Serum, right? Which is a wonderful product. Who uses Uplift? Good. Who uses it just for the eye? Who uses it all over the face? Sherry Brown bathes in it, just so you know. And apparently when you become black status, you can afford to bathe in it. I love Uplift. I use it all over my face, the whole face. But the squalane also lives in the 3D Fiber Lashes Plus. It's what we coat the fibers with. It lives in lucrative lip gloss. It's in the Touch Skin Perfecting Concealer. And obviously, as a moisturizing and hydrating ingredient, it's part of the Divine Daily Moisturizer. So that's an example of what we mean by nature loves science. We look to nature, or look at Mother Nature, what she can teach us about ourselves. We identify the ingredients. We use science to figure out how to convert it or put it into a form that we can then deliver to the body, so that the skin can use it for what it needs to do, whether it's for conditioning, moisturizing, hydrating, whatever it is, to be an efficacious and product that works. Science is the cornerstone of product development. And we're committed to the safety of both the human health as well as the environment as we develop products. Now, let me tell you just a little bit about the number of scientists that actually go in to developing the products. There's a list of them, a whole list of them. Now, back at the corporate office, many of you are familiar with Mukhtar, our chief scientist. He does a wonderful job working with formulators and scientists literally across the globe. And there's a whole list of different scientists that are working on our products, from toxicologists, microbiologists, analytical chemists that are actually looking at the chemical structure and makeup of the ingredients, formulators who are putting everything together and figuring out how to combine those ingredients into a formula. We have science information specialists that are researching the latest, not just trends, but the latest research. What are the universities teaching us? What are they telling us? What are we discovering that's new? Manufacturing engineers that actually figure out how to pull and put everything together. Packaging specialists, right? The package serves multiple purposes, right? It's supposed to help sell the product, but it also has to preserve the product and deliver it from point A to point B, and then when it gets to point B, your home or your customer's home, it has to preserve it and keep it safe. The packaging specialists and packaging engineers help out with that. The quality assurance professionals to ensure that the product meets the quality standards that we've set, and then regulatory specialists that are working with the various countries in which we do business, as well as looking at countries where we will be doing business to make sure that the ingredients and the formulas meet the requirements of those countries. Which is interesting to note. Currently, and our plan is to maintain this as much as possible, we have a single formula that works in every single market in which we do business. So the products that you're selling here in the UK is the exact same formula that's sold in France, the exact same formula that's sold in the US, and the exact same formula that is sold in Australia. That's not easy to do. That requires a tremendous amount of work, a tremendous amount of negotiation, or not negotiation, but it's diligence and research to make sure that we're meeting the requirements of every country. You should take, quite frankly, tremendous confidence in that we're able to do that. It's very rare that a country actually does that, or a company can actually do that. And we're very proud of that. And that's a talking, right, that you've helped lead the charge into Spain, what you use here, what you've experienced, and what you've built your testimony on with these products, you can talk to your contacts and your friends in Spain. It's the exact same product. Safe by design, what does this mean? We're going to kind of cut through this pretty quick, but what I mean is we choose safe ingredients, right? We vet out and research every ingredient that we use in the formula. We make sure that they're safe. Now, do we refine that with time? Of course we do, because we're always learning new things, and we're learning new things about some of the ingredients that are coming, but perhaps some of the ingredients that are in the past that are in existing formulas, and we occasionally need to reformulate and update as we gain knowledge, right? We're doing that because we want to put forth the best product possible. We define a safe range. What I mean by that is we actually measure each ingredient, we test each ingredient, and what is a safe range for the body to use, right? So that we're not delivering too much of an active ingredient, or we're not putting too much of a certain ingredient on the body. We define a safe range, right? And usually that safe range is 10,000 times less than what would be concerned, what determines safe, and that's what we actually build into the formula. We determine safe product use, how we're actually going to deliver the product or the formula or the ingredient to the skin, and then we continue research after we introduce or launch a product to understand how we can make it better, right? How we can make it perform better, how we can use it in better ways. A couple of factors considered in the safety evaluation. We review the latest up-to-date safety research. Like I said, we're looking at what the universities are doing in research, what some of the private industries are doing, learning more about certain ingredients. We're trying to discover new ingredients, and we look to outside help to do that. But as we do that, we learn a lot about what's coming, as well as what we're already using in existing products, and we change and adapt as necessary as we gain information about ingredients that have been vetted by scientific peer-reviewed research. We determine any possible ingredient toxicology, right? Are we going to deliver an ingredient that might be, in some cases, toxic? That sounds like a terrible word. We determine that and rule out or vet out to make sure that that doesn't happen. We evaluate and test the human impact of those ingredients, right? Make sure they're safe, not just on its own, but in combination with the entire formula, right? So that you have confidence that what you're using, you're not going to have any kind of reaction to it, whether it be allergic or any kind of sensitivity. And then we measure that not just over the product itself, but over multiple products, right? Because if we're putting the same ingredient in multiple products, we want to make sure that if you're using multiple products together, it's still safe. And then we test and evaluate, and test and evaluate, and test and evaluate. A little bit about the actual production and manufacturing of the products. The products that you're currently selling to your customers are manufactured all over the globe, primarily in the United States, Canada, some of them here in Germany, and then quite a few products in Italy. We've established some great working relationships, partnerships with some of our manufacturing partners. 1.5 million square feet of production space. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but anyways, it takes a lot of room to actually make the products that you're selling. Tori went through some of the numbers, and as you can imagine, in order to generate, what was the total units? I don't remember what the total units was last year, but in the millions. In order to create millions of products, it requires a lot of space. And between the different manufacturing partners that we have and work with, there are over 260 scientists in R&D department or R&D fields that are working to build your products. So it's not a couple of guys with a bucket stirring things, right? And then with those facilities, we do routine audits. The audit has a 72-point inspection plan that we go through to ensure that every manufacturing facility in which we do business adheres to our policies, adheres to general manufacturing practices or good manufacturing practices to make sure that the products are exactly what we want them to be. Okay, should we actually talk about some products? Who uses lip-on bots? Yeah? It's a fun one. We're excited about this one. We're excited to launch it. In fact, so excited that I believe Some of you have some under your seat, if you look. I believe there's some under some of your seats, and those of you that are in the back, they're not going to be on those folded chairs, but they're going to be somewhere in front of you. And obviously some of you just realized that you don't have one. Who's found one yet? Has anybody found a lip-on bun? We got one? On the front, so in the back, it's on the front panel. I don't know what the front panel means. Does that mean the seat in front of them? Oh, at your feet. There's a front panel by your feet. It's going to be somewhere. All right. Now, I'm just kidding.